Simple and plain. To be the best, you have to win. That's why I play the game.
So the Lakers have made quite a few changes to their roster this season and made a big splash in free agency, and a good splash at that. We brought in Russell Westbrook, we've brought in cats like Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, Wayne Ellington, these shooters that we really needed. We brought in the experienced guys like Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, Trevor Ariza, and really made our team very flexible on the defensive and offensive end. And we're a very versatile team as well. You know, we're going to be able to beat the opposition in multiple different ways with our playmaking, with our athleticism, with our shot-making ability, and our overall dominance on the court. And we've picked up these players in free agency, but some recent rumors are coming to the surface that the Lakers may be after a player on the trade market, and that's Jeremy Lamb from the Indiana Pacers. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I think Jeremy Lamb could fit alongside our three superstars and ultimately fit on this Lakers squad if we were to go out and trade for him. And then in turn, if we were to bring him in, how would that impact the current players that we've already signed this season? How does that impact their position on this team? Do we have to move some guys around to bring Jeremy Lamb in? And things of those nature. But before we get started, I want you guys to comment down below who's been your favorite free agency signing so far for the Lakers, and who are you most excited to see on the Lakers squad this season? Comment down below right now. So if we think of a player like Jeremy Lamb, we think back to when he first came into the league, those days in OKC where he teamed up with another new Laker this season, Russell Westbrook, KD, Serge Ibaka, and he came into this league as a young guy that could really, create his own shot. OKC used to play him at the point guard and the shooting guard position. He was sort of a combo guard that could shoot the ball a little bit, play make a little bit, and ultimately take the ball to the rim. And it was really just him and Reggie Jackson that made an impact coming off the bench for that OKC squad. And that squad really didn't have many shooters. So Jeremy Lamb was one of those guys that could really come off the bench and, shoot that three-point shot for OKC when they really didn't have anyone else coming off the bench that could really do that for them. And quite honestly, he really played quite well in that OKC system. And he was really looking like the future at the shooting guard position alongside Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook there. But then after, he first hit the scene, his career was just riddled with injuries. All these lower leg injuries, hip injuries, ankle injuries. And eventually, after he moved from OKC and bounced around the league a little bit, he would suffer a horrific knee injury of the ACL joint, which he really struggled to get back from. As you know, those ACL injuries are really hard to come back from. So this is a player who's shown some talent in terms of being able to score the ball and defend on a nightly basis, but has never really got the chance to put, solid back-to-back seasons together just due to all these injuries that he suffered throughout his career. But when he has been on the floor, he has shown signs of a good player in this league. He's shown the ability to hit the three-point shot. He's a career 34% from the three-point line, which is respectable in this league. He's also shown the ability to go to the rim and score effectively around the rim, and he's also shown the ability to be an underrated playmaker, and he's also shown some promise on the defensive end as well. He has the ability to go out and guard the point guard position, shooting guard position, and the small forward position at times, and that's because he's got a good body. He's a 6'5", 6'6" guard that can go out there and really take on those defensive matchups. And that's why multiple teams are interested in Jeremy Lamb. Because what's the league turning to now? These 3-and-D wing defenders that can go out there and really make a difference out on the court. And that's exactly why the Lakers are looking at a guy like Jeremy Lamb. But what could Jeremy Lamb do for the Lakers if we were to bring him in? Well, exactly that. Guard the opposing team's best perimeter player and really be a guy that we can rely on to score the ball and knock down those three-point shots on a consistent basis, because that's honestly how we're going to win the majority of our games. We're going to have Russell Westbrook and LeBron James bringing the ball down the court, drawing double teams, and then kicking the ball out to these wide open shooters like a Jeremy Lamb, for instance. But what do we already have in terms of 3-and-D players on the Lakers? Well, we've brought in players like Malik Monk, Kent Bazemore, Trevor Ariza. So when we compare these players to Jeremy Lamb, you could make the argument that Jeremy Lamb's maybe a little notch above those players. But then on the other hand, can we rely on Jeremy Lamb to be out there on the floor consistently, considering, his injury history and stuff like that? And then we also have to consider that the Lakers also need to go out and trade for Jeremy Lamb. We can't just go out and pick him up on free agency. We have to actually put pieces together to go out and make this trade. And then when you look at Jeremy Lamb's contract, he's set to make $10.5 million this season. So when you consider that and then look at the options of the players that we have on minimum contracts, is Jeremy Lamb going to make that much of a significant difference if he was to take the place of the players that we already have? And then to make this trade work, you know, the money has to work as well. And if you look at the current Lakers contracts and how they're constructed, we have Russell Westbrook on a max contract, LeBron James on a max contract, Anthony Davis on a max contract. So that means we can only bring in guys that we don't have bird rights for on veteran minimum contracts, and that's exactly what we've done. And they're the sacrifices that you have to make when you're, you know, bringing in 3 superstars in this league. So the only players that we can really move around is Kendrick Nunn and Talen Horton-Tucker. And Talen Horton-Tucker's already been the sticking point in many other trades, as we've seen in that Kyle Lowry trade. So the only real player that we can really move around in this situation is Kendrick Nunn. And I don't think I'm willing to give up Kendrick Nunn for a guy like Jeremy Lamb when I think Kendrick Nunn can play much more of a significant role on this team as our backup point guard or our backup shooting guard. So, you know, the Lakers really have to make a decision here whether they want to pull this off, and that's why ultimately I think they will sit back and wait and see how Jeremy Lamb looks at the start of the season and then make a decision based on that. And that's what the report says anyway. The Lakers are in the mix about Jeremy Lamb, but ultimately all these teams that are in the mix are wanting to see how he looks coming into this season. But that's my thoughts on the Jeremy Lamb situation at the moment. Again, if the Lakers do pull the trigger on this trade, I think he can come in and be a 3-and-D player and play a solid role for the Lakers, providing that he does stay injury-free. I just don't know if I'm willing to give up a player like Kendrick Nunn to do it, because I just think ultimately Kendrick Nunn can have a bigger impact, and I just think overall Kendrick Nunn is actually a better player than Jeremy Lamb. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about this situation. Do you want the Lakers to go out and target Jeremy Lamb on the trade market, and do you think it can have an impact on this team if the Lakers do ultimately trade for Jeremy Lamb? But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I do hope you guys have been enjoying these types of videos that I've been bringing out on this channel as much as I've enjoyed making them. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more Laker content just like this. But for now, it's been your boy Jay from Lakers Exclusive. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.